go home. So, my name's Bruce Pannaman. I'm the data scientist at Busuu, and we are a language learning app. We can help you learn 12 different languages. Hands up if you speak another language apart from English. Yes, that's the one. Well, we've got 12, and hopefully we can help you learn a lot more. So, Busuu is unique because it's a language learning social network. The whole reason why you learn a language is to communicate with other people, and that's exactly how you learn with Busuu. Not only do we have 12 bespoke language courses that are curated in-house by our experts, language experts, but we also have a social network which connects people around the world. Whoop, wrong button. So obviously we've got the social network side of things where the idea is you're English trying to learn German. On our social network, there'll be somebody German that is trying to learn English. We connect you, and you guys correct each other's writing, correct each other's pronunciation, so you guys become super fluent instead of just textbook fluent. We also have a vocabulary aspect to it, where you can save the vocabulary, and we do lots of repetitive exercises to make sure that you remember those words instead of just learning them once. Of course, no language app would be complete without grammar, because otherwise you're just spurting words at people. And fluency faster as well. We participate with a lot of universities where we do university studies, and we've done one research thing this year which found that 22.5 hours of Busuu is the same as a university semester of language learning. So we've got this app. It's both on iOS and Android and on web, and Busuu is across all of it, and it all pumps us with really important data. So what sort of stuff are we working with? First off, we've got the front-end tracking data. Stuff from our Android apps all around the world, stuff from our iOS apps around the world, the web, and we've also built a brand new B2B platform called Busuu Pro, which is super awesome. So front-end tracking data is all about product flows. I open the app, I register, I go, German's what I want to learn first. All of the different features that happen and all of the different events that happen come from the front end. This is what we've been concentrating on with Snowplow to date, and it's super useful for product managers to understand the features they're bringing out, A/B testing to make sure that everything's going perfect and we really are making a difference in improving the platform, and also just get everything together. Next, we've got progress data. So lots of people are learning lots of different things. We need to keep track of that. Not only to focus our in-house education team on what bits of content need sprucing next, but also to get an idea of how we're helping people become more fluent in the languages that they're creating. As with every tech company, there's back-end database data, which is all about back-end attributes which are cross-platform. Stuff like, my name is Bruce, my email is bruce@busuu.com, I have X many friends on Busuu, and these are the words I know. Super important, and as we bring that stuff into the architecture, it means we can build it into models, we can send it through and aggregate it with the other stuff to create a nice kind of data model, as Christoph was saying before. And of course, there's third-party data. So as anybody who deals with the app world knows, Apple and Google hold the keys to a lot of things. They've got APIs, you have the data down, sometimes there's a lag, but it needs to be aggregated really nice and closely with what you've got. Because they have the app world, you need to know about page views on the App Store, you need to know about downloads, you need to know about where you're featured and all the different marketing aspects that happen. So, why did we start looking at Snowplow? We needed a way of redoing our back-end infrastructure, because we were dealing with questions in meetings like, why can't I find the results of my A/B test till tomorrow? We were only getting data every 24 hours through our old back-end infrastructure. So you put an A/B test out of there, and all you can do is just go home and wait till tomorrow to see what happens. Stuff like, oh God, do we now have to put another tracker in? With lots of different tracking platforms and lots of different analytics infrastructures, most of them want an SDK that sits inside your front end. And with a business with as many platforms as us, not only do you have to put an SDK into one, but you have to put the SDK into all of them to assess the new features performance on all the different platforms. My data says X, yours says Y. If I walk into a meeting with my head of marketing, they'll have Google Analytics up looking at the channel attribution. Maybe somebody else is sitting there with channel attribution from our registration forms. Doesn't tally up. It might have been calculated in different ways. The data model is completely different. And we found it really hard to come up with a really good decision when some data sources were slightly further out. And of course, CloudWatch Alert. When you're doing batch alerts and you've got cron job, we use Jenkins a lot for our scheduling. Sometimes you get an alert through your Slack first thing in the morning when a job's got too much stuff and your servers run out of memory. It's not a good way to start the day. So we basically started looking at the different aspects that we were trying to solve. Scalability. We're now at 60+ million users around the world, and we're growing every single day. Not just with those increase in users, but also the increase in platforms like our Busuu Pro platform. The amount of events we've got is scaling up and up and up. And the processes that we were putting in place a year ago that were taking 3 hours to aggregate data might be taking 4 now. And instead of doing this, we need to think about how to make it batch versus real time. So batch stuff's great. You know what's going on. You deploy your stuff. You have your Jenkins jobs, and it runs. You can do it every whatever hour you want, but it's still not real time. In an ideal world, we all have all our events splayed all over the place in nice city-style tickers, just like they do in the stock market, and we can see what's going on at the time, analyze the problems. You know, in those kind of memes that you see of what you imagine your job to be like and what it's actually like, those real-time tickers is what you imagine it to be like, and that's what I think Snowplow Analytics can deliver. Reconciliation. Obviously, you want all of your data to agree. If you've got one thing happening on a mobile platform, if stuff is going in many different directions and then coming back again, it should all reconcile through different models. Whilst we're thinking of all these different problems that we had, we also thought, why does Snowplow have to just do analytics? We're creating a whole new data infrastructure here to get all of the data from the users on whatever platform they're using and bring it all the way to us to analyze. But we can do a lot more with it. One of the things we decided to do a lot is we have got 1,000,001 SDK sitting in our apps. We've got stuff to do with marketing. We've got our CRM stuff to send events to. We've got our qualitative feedback engine to do messaging with apps. We've got some tracking to see what they're doing. We've got our old infrastructure. There's just so much going on that to try and sit there with your product manager and fit into a sprint, please can we put another SDK in our app? Chances are you're going to get a stern look. So this is where Snowplow came in. We made sure that Snowplow could be the delivery postmaster of these events throughout all the different places they need to go within the company and beyond. This is all about getting the data and giving it to the right people that need it at the right time. And the way we achieve this is through Snowplow. So, looking at the tech stack, we're in a really good position with what we're doing now. We're starting off putting stuff together. Obviously, some stuff we haven't got right at the moment, but where we've started is with the front-end events here in the websites and the mobile apps. We've started tackling that front-end data because that's where the most value is that we can find at the moment. We use the off-the-box Scala stream collector, which is really, really nice, and we reinforced it with a load balancer and an auto-scaling Amazon instance to ensure that if we get massive boosts, like Russia coming online in the morning, whilst America is still very much awake, or time zone, things like that, we can deal with that scale, as well as save money when things are quiet and everyone's asleep apart from Hawaii. Everything from here then goes into Amazon Kinesis Stream, which I absolutely love because of the ultimate scale and the sharding capabilities it has. Plus, compared to a lot of other Spark streaming applications which need quite big boxes, it's very, very cheap to, well, as opposed to how much data you're putting into it. Stuff that we're going to work on in the future. We're going to start pulling in our back-end data. I've got a really nice API team that I'm working with that can push that data in, and we've got to work out how to put it all together. And of course, having an engine here to pull in that third-party data from Google and Apple and AdWords, Crashlytics, so that we know what purchases are happening through Google Play Store. What's happening on iOS? Who's buying what? Are people buying 1-month packages from our subscriptions? Are people buying 12 months? And also Crashlytics, because up till now, analytics at Busuu has been very much product-focused, marketing-focused, management-focused, board-focused. However, the tech guys have had to work out all the stuff they've got using tools like Crashlytics, and I feel that Snowplow can make it easier for them to analyze what's happening with the release, with the deployment, What's happening in testing? Why did an automated test fail, etc. I can hopefully help them do this. As you guys we've heard tonight, enriching and validation is super, super important. This means you have your sort of data over here, which is a little bit of everything, and you've got your gold dust over here, which is your enriched data. Again, off the box, stream enrich, which I really, really loved because of how quick it is and the fact that the speed actually scales up with how much stuff you're putting through it. So things that we did with it, Christoph's talked a lot about validation, and we created our own schemas. So because we've got so many different platforms, we need to bring it all together. Because when you're analyzing the business of Busuu isn't just people on Android. It isn't just people on iOS. We've got a growing population of our users that will use their desktop to have a go on Busuu and learn their Spanish during the day. And then they'll get on the tube and use our offline mode to learn some more on the tube. So this is why we have to bring analytics and events from all of the platforms together so we can look at a total user view of what they're doing, not a user view of what they're doing broken down by each platform. So this is why we created the Busuu event, which tries to standardize what is going on. The features have very much achieved parity over the last year between the different platforms. However, there are little exceptions here and there you've had to deal with there. And then also, the validation is slightly different based on environment. What we're trying to build is not just a production system, but a production system where you can monitor what's happening in staging. You can monitor what's happening in your testing environment. Again, to help your developers with what they're doing instead of it going through QA and then you have to make a hotfix. Hotfixes are bad, and hopefully this can solve it. Enrichments, this is one of my favorite parts of the Snowplow stuff that you guys have built for us. Absolutely love IP lookup. Means that you can grab the IP address both from mobile, from web, and then get geo IP locations, put it onto a map so you know where your hotspots are, put it onto your map so you know where your hotspots for buying are, and also just see like your trends throughout the day so you can make provisioning rules as well. So Forex conversion, super cool too. We're in over 190 countries, meaning that people are paying in all sorts of ways. There'll be people in Brazil who are paying for Busuu on their mobile phone bill in Brazilian real. There'll be people here in the UK paying on PayPal in British pounds. So it's super important when we're imagining that dream world of where we all live in data for a nice stock ticker of revenue going up each day, that you have something to quantify it in. Whether it's euros, whether it's pounds, Forex conversion on the fly means we can put that all together and see what we're doing in real time, which of course the management team absolutely love. So distribution, this is where we try to change it up a bit. Move away a little bit from the standard way of doing things and try and build something extra on top of an analytics platform. So yes, we've done very similar things here, where we're using Amazon Kinesis Firehose, which is really lovely for both persisting your data down to S3, so that it's nice and safe, you've got it forever, and then putting it into Redshift, where our business analysts look at what is happening, can analyze, build models from there, do pre-aggregation jobs, and generally provide daily reporting. But the cool stuff that we're doing over here is we've used a whole load of Lambda functions to connect this data with these third-party sources. So far, we've been working, putting stuff to Intercom. So let's say you're on the Busuu app, you've done really well on your grammar exercise, and it's a brand new one. That will spark an event to Intercom, and one of our education team can start a live chat with you because you've done that event. We can ask, how was it? How could it be improved? And this qualitative feedback is super important for us to improve our content and ensure that we're delivering the best language learning experience possible. Very similar thing with AppBoy. If somebody goes to the cart in our app, they might be thinking about converting to Busuu Premium. At that case, maybe they need a push notification to show them the extra benefits they might not know about yet. Having this push notification email capacity has really changed the CRM stuff that we do, ensuring that we communicate as effectively as possible with our customers. Kissmetrics is really useful for our product managers to look at product flows, look at cohort analysis, to be able to look at what features should be used where. Assessing a whole lot of stuff there, and obviously sending Google Analytics stuff, super important to be able to do. We are looking at how to put all of this data into our machine learning models so that we can update the training set live with new stuff. But hopefully we'll have that soon. And if anybody's got any experience with that after the speech, please tell me and we can talk about it. The plug and play integrations that we've done. We chose Amazon Lambda because it's a really cool way of having unlimited scale code. Amazon Lambda doesn't need a server, doesn't run out of CPU because it's a brand new instantiation of that code every single time it pulls from Amazon Kinesis. So let's say a brand new 100 events come in. These things know exactly where they are in the queue, and they'll just find the new ones, bring them out, execute, and you only pay per 100 milliseconds of runtime. So it's a super cheap and effective way of doing it instead of having big servers, auto-scaling, scaling them down, which takes a lot of time. What it also does is provides us the one source of truth for our data. When stuff is in that enriched pipeline, we've got rid of the duff stuff. We've got rid of the events from our automated testing. We've only got the validated, perfect events that we need to move forward. And once we've sent this to all of the different data platforms which people throughout the company use, it means that only 2 user-registered events were sent to Intercom. Only 2 were sent here. Only 2 were sent here, etc. Meaning that when people get into a meeting and discuss what's going on, they all have the exact same results in front of them. We've already talked about scalability, but also third-party systems are super, super easy to integrate. The way this happens is we create a brand new Lambda function for each type of data per integration. So let's say you're sending front-end event data to a brand new data platform. Let's say it's a new data analytics platform to do, product flows and stuff like that. You'll put one of them for each type of schema. You pass through the row of enriched data, looking for the specific part of the schema that you're looking for. And once you have that JSON, you pull it down, pass it, and then send it straight through to that client. So a lot of these services provide Python clients where you can easily download whatever you've got, bring down the binaries and send it straight out. Or these are really just shells for REST APIs where you can just use your good old RE library, send it straight through. Jobs are good, and you can see it in that UI within seconds. So, a couple of problem areas we've come upon, as with everything that you're building. When we're dealing with strict multi-platform schemas, one thing that's quite difficult is, with all the details that you need to analyze the benefits of each and every platform, sometimes it's kind of difficult to unify between every single part of every single platform. So to give an example, to analyze the attribution modeling of our iOS app, you need an identifier called an IDFA, which looks at where your traffic's coming from. Somebody was on the App Store and downloaded your app. Where did they come from? Was it from a Facebook post? Was it from an AdWord? Was it from a blog that somebody wrote? This is stuff we need to know, and marrying that data with something like user agent. Are people on Chrome 10.0? Are people on Safari, a certain version? Trying to marry that and put that into one field kind of makes the validation a little bit more difficult. But being, as we discussed in the last one, being loose enough that you can be flexible, yet being strict enough that you're not getting garbage in your table is super important, and that compromise was quite a hard thing to find. So, as I mentioned before, offline mode is a really cool feature of ours. Lots of our users love it, where you can download a whole load of lessons, meeting my friends, going on holiday and writing a business email in German. Download them to your phone, and you can just sit on the tube with your headphones in, learn all the words, etc. However, when there's no Wi-Fi, how do these events get to us? And when they do, they all come at once. So this results in really big spikes at certain times of day. So let's imagine it's 9 o'clock in the morning, that packed tube train that you've been on. Everyone's on Busuu. They all come out, Wi-Fi's in the station, boom, we get hit with a whole load of events. So this is something you have to deal with, and Lambda functions are a really cool way to deal with that extra functionality, with that extra capacity, so that it can be in the Redshift database at the right time. And the last problem, which is really tricky, and again, if you guys have got any experience with this, please say at the end, is about device versus collector timestamps. So Snowplow's evolved over the last couple of years to involve lots of different timestamps. You've got the one where it happened on your phone. You've got the one where the collector stamps it. You've got the one when the enricher stamps it. And if you've got other processes, you'll have that stuff in there. However, if somebody's offline and that event doesn't get sent to us for 2 hours, that timestamp's going to be wrong. And with all the cool stuff that you guys are doing at Gusto, looking at time differentiation, how far apart the events are, it can be super, super important to know that stuff, to build up user sessions and to predict what's happening in the future. So if you use that, you lose that data. But if you use device timestamp, maybe somebody's used that hack we all know and love to get Pokemon Go before it was released, where you put your phone in the future. This can screw with things as well, because how do you predict people doing stuff if it seems to be in the future in your database? So this is a bit tricky, and we'll work at it from here. In terms of stuff we want to do in the future, obviously this stuff's super cool. We're loving having real-time data starting to come in for the first time, and we can make that dream of real-time data charts everywhere a reality. What we want to start hoping to work on in the future is live A/B test trains. So when you release an app, if anybody else knows about app reviews and stuff like that, the reason why you buy an iPhone and all the apps are such good quality is because there's a very stringent review process. That's why Apple's amazing, and Google too, when you get really good stuff. So what it means is as you put new apps out, you have to wait for a review, and you can't release a brand new one every single day or every single 4 hours like you can do with a web deployment. So fitting different A/B tests in can be rather tough. What would be awesome, we think, in the future is to have the ability to rack up A/B tests for different features or different things inside your app so that you can look at real time with Snowplow data how those are doing, and when they reach statistical significance, boom, click, ka-ching, this one's one, show that variant to everyone, rack up the next one. And with this, we can speed the iteration of improvement on our app many, many times over by fitting multiple tests into each app release. Machine learning results. So we're doing very similar things to what Gusto's obviously done amazing on, which is churn prediction. We're working on conversion prediction as well, where we can feed in live predictions of whether that user is going to convert or not. And hopefully in the future, we'll be able to create different flows based on how likely they are to convert by giving them the extra information they need to just push them over that line of purchase, or maybe give them a discount because they're miles off and maybe they just need a sort of monetary push. So it'll make sure that in the future, our offering is super, super customized to what these users want. And again, we can produce the best app experience that we can. Automated alerting. So when you're creating models, obviously it's very different, as Christoph said, very different for every single business. Sometimes you want to look at how fast your warehouse is moving. Sometimes you want to look at what your e-commerce funnel is. Is your paywall conversion going up or down? This is very much aggregated data models, which take time to build, etc. However, with real-time querying of this real-time data, we can create alerting. So that instead of watching these awesome charts we're going to have on our wall with live stock ticker data of what's going on, we'll get alerting as well. A little Slack bot going, hey, by the way, did you know that your paywall conversion in China has gone up 20% in the last hour? This means we can analyze trends that are more complicated view of our business metrics, understand what's going on a lot better, work on the things that are going really well to improve, like put them out everywhere, and the things that aren't going so well, we can analyze what's going on and then improve them. But obviously you need to know these things are there before you can do that kind of stuff. So hopefully a really nice future going on with this stuff, and also a really nice past, a really nice journey we've been on. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with Snowplow. And has anybody got any questions?
Great talk. I actually wanted to answer one of your questions, which is on the timestamps.
Yes.
So you exactly identified the right problem. So the collected timestamp, it's a clock we can trust because we control it, or at least Amazon controls it. But if an event spends some time in the cache because the user is using the app in the underground, there's no cellular connection, so there might be, let's say, 2 hours delay between the event being created and the event being sent. So what we do these days is actually we take the collected timestamp and we subtract the time the event spends in the cache from the collected timestamps to undo this effect. That's actually something we call the derived timestamp. So that should solve your problem.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
If you have answers to the 2 other questions, please.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask, I'd love to ask you to go into a bit more detail on the schemaing side, because it came up. It came up earlier. It sounds like you've been on a bit of an interesting journey. Did you try different sorts of approaches, then settle on a middle ground, or how did you go about schemaing your data?
I initially looked at unstructured data, and it follows a very kind of Google Analytics style schema, where you've kind of got 3 or 4 very defined bits of schema, and then another bit where you just jack in a massive JSON with stuff. And what I found is I was compiling stuff into a JSON to send through in an unstructured event, and then in all the Lambda functions, which obviously there's a bit of replication to then send it off, I'd have to unpack it, deal with all the keys, assign those keys to variables to then put into the REST API request. So I thought to myself, like, firstly, this isn't so good because everything that's happening inside that JSON schema is not being really validated. You could put anything in there and it might end up on some analytics platform. But also, we just wanted a bit more control. So with Snowplow, because we're trying to build it for everyone in Busuu, not just the product managers, not just the management team, not just the marketing team, we want our tech team to be able to use this data as well. And this is where you've got to fit all the extra stuff in and where it's got to be super validated. So let's say we want to send app versions and device names for every single thing that gets sent from a mobile app. If they don't send it right, maybe it's if somebody owns a Samsung Nexus and it's French, maybe it'll come through in French. Will it come through in English? Will it say Samsung Nexus, or will it say whatever the French equivalent is? This sort of thing is super important to validate so that we can do accurate counts of what's going on. You know, what app versions are people using? You group it on that. If you've got lots of different versions of the same string, how do we know? Whereas if we know that 80-90% of them are on these app versions, maybe we can think about deprecating the old one, which nobody are really on. So it was a lot of decision making to do, but we came up with the Busuu standard event, which was kind of the first iteration schema, and it tried to encompass a little bit of everything. And we look at the enrich job and look at the validation, and most of it goes through, so it's pretty cool.
And quick follow-on question: which team within Busuu owns the schemas? Is it the engineers? Is it the analysts? Is it?
It's the data team. So, you know, data team's kind of responsible for all of the data that isn't kind of user-facing and functional. So traditionally all the analytics stuff, but now as we try and move on, this whole pipeline and also the analytics output that comes out too. Yeah.
So regarding the third-party integrations with AWS Lambda, do you have your Lambda functions all listening to the same enriched stream and then just acting when you detect the appropriate event? Is that right?
Currently, yes. So you've got one big enriched stream because most of the stuff in there is front-end data. As we integrate other data sources, we might have to split it out into different shards. But at the moment, they listen to everything. And within the Lambda code itself, it goes, oh, this is a page view, not interested. I only want proper like Busuu structured events. And it looks for that schema within all of the different fields that come in the raw line of Kinesis data, and then passes it through. Maybe it will send half of the bits it needs. Maybe it will send all of them. It all depends on the data source and what they need.
Right. And second question is, do you have any use case for complex interactions? Like, I want to send an event out when I see a page view followed by a log off or whatever.
Yeah, so our new B2B at Busuu Pro, which institutions around the world use to help their students learn languages better. And, you know, our aim is to create companies that can have a multilingual workforce. So when you've got the admin of that, the HR manager that's looking at stuff, the product manager of Busuu Pro will look at it and wants to know, right, people are turning off at this page. Why are they turning off? So we have a page view event, or, you know, they've clicked on something on that page, and then a log off event. When you put those two events together and we send them to Intercom, all on his own, the product manager can go, right, if people do this event and this event, I want to talk to them. So then it will ping off an email automatic saying, hey, my name is Mr. Product Manager. I would like to speak to you about this page that you turned off. How can we improve it? And from that point, we get really useful user feedback. As everyone here knows, qualitative feedback can be just as important as quantitative feedback to give you the full picture of what the users think and what is going on.
Right, so you use the third-party tool to find out about the sequence of events during the
Well, we send the sequence of events through Snowplow, and then, obviously everyone in the company should have access to this as much as possible. These third-party applications just make it super easy to, out the box, this is what I want to do, and it allows the users to do it. But obviously you need the data to be going to it in the right form.
Great, thanks.
Cool.
Do your end users consume the data through these individual applications they're already used to use, or you present the data to your product managers or marketing managers, etc., also in a different way? You have to sort of initiate a business change process almost to change the habits.
I guess it's a little bit of both. So it's not just about presenting the data, it's being able to do something with it and actively use the data to make decisions. So it's one thing, me putting everything into Redshift, then producing a lovely report to our great marketing team to say, look, Facebook's going super awesome, but could we pick up this social a bit, or could we pick up this PPC stuff a bit? Then they have to work out how to do it, etc. The whole process of fast iteration at Busuu is to use that data to automate something, whether it's a third-party platform, whether it's our own, so that we can learn from that, do A/B tests based on that data, based on those events, to test what is the best course of action to take. And instead of sitting there and thinking, yeah, we've got a problem, what's the solution, and get to that solution as quick as possible. So whether there's a third-party tool that makes it easy, or whether we've got an in-house tool that makes it super useful to do that, we just need to get from here's a problem to solution as quick as possible. Cool. Well, thank you very much.